Hi everyone, welcome to Sports Kabri. If you have watched our previous video, you know what we did. We went through some of the top Indian players that we sought after this IPL mega auction. We went team by team and discussed which team could go for which Indian player, but then all a lot of top Indian cap players left in the auction. But on the flip side, you've got a lot of foreign players. You're 48 capped Indian players, dude. Like, so we didn't have a lot to run through, but you've got 193 capped overseas players in this auction. So, yeah, to make life a little easier to understand which foreign players um, could sort of again be sought after by uh, some of the IPL franchises, we're going to discuss these top players. We've sort of segregated them and we said, okay, hey, you know what? These are the best players that are available based on performances of late and their legacies as a whole. So yeah, I think it's a fair enough metric, and we're going to see who amongst these guys are going to go for big money. And of course, we'll also have towards the back end a couple of interesting shouts. Probably some players you didn't expect to go for huge amounts of money, but will end up going for a lot. Yeah. With that said and done, straight into it. Top of my list, Jos Buttler, a potential captain pick for any IPL franchise looking for a new captain. Of course, he's a wonderful batter. It looks like he's back amongst the runs. He scored a few runs against the West Indies over there in the Caribbean. So it's going to be really interesting with Jos Buttler. Many have said that he's not probably in the best form, um, but still he's a gun player. Rishi, you think he's still doing it well enough in the IPL?
I think he's done it over the years. No, I think he's fairly done really well for like a consistent amount of while. Like I can't think of anyone at the moment who is like as consistently threatening. Like for like large parts, he is one of those players who doesn't depend as much on like home ground advantage. Like he's one of those players who can go to like almost any ground in the competition and still perform well. And like yeah, the fact that he is a captaincy material is also like a plus point. But the only downside is that he might curtail his tournament early and go back home soon, so like sooner than other players. So if that does come into play, then if he is made captain also, things can be a little bit complicated. But even if he does it, like, see, it's not like they have like teams have to go to him for captaincy option. There are a lot of good captaincy options. So if you are going after just a pure batter, I think he's really good. Like I can't think of many who are better than what he does, like at least right now.
Is Jos Buttler going to be amongst the top five foreign players told this IPL?
mm,
Again, just to give you some context, I'll just throw out some other interesting names. Of course, these guys also could go for big money. You've got Kagiso Rabada in the auction. That's a big name. David Miller, who's done so well in the IPL over the years. Harry Brook is in the IPL, is in the auctions. Mitchell Starc is back in the pool after playing for KKR. Jake Fraser McGurk. We've heard a lot about Jake Fraser McGurk, obviously in the lead up to this because of his performances for Delhi last year. Devon Conway, a fairly reliable opener. You've got so many other names, right? Aiden Markram is in there, Rachin Ravindra, David Warner. You've got big names. Given these names, you think he top five? I think he's one of the top five guys for me.
yeah, like he's also going to like he's also a keeper option, so that is also, that base is also covered. So I think all in all, yeah, I think it's fair enough to say that he will go. It's a safe bet to put, saying that like he's gonna go for the like top yeah, top five. I think he is fairly comfortably gonna go as a top five. But again, like teams might have slight reservation about his early departure. But that then again, if like I still think it's worth it. Like if you can get a huge boost from him up leading up to the this one, I think it's fair for teams to take on like that gamble.
Yeah, yep, 100%. Adi, you think so too? Like Josh Butler, you think top five, or is he going to be amongst the probably potentially the best, the highest price player after the auction?
But firstly, I don't know how he wasn't retained by RR. Like I can't imagine or believe that he is in the auctions. By the way, like I still don't get why they didn't retain him. Like over a player like Dhruv Jurel, I get it. Like in terms of Indian etc. But like still it's like you can't leave Butler out in the auction like that. It is almost like if Kohli was in the auction, it is similar vibes to that. So I
Yeah.
think yeah, he will be one of. Thing is, I don't know if it will be the top auction buy just because of the three Indians who are going to be there in the auctions. But maybe for a foreign player, for sure, he might be at the top. But again, it depends on, as I said before, it just depends on where like these guys have the money to pay. Because that's a problem. I feel like this year coming into the auction, there are a lot of players with a lot of talent, and it's a matter of will they go high? Like, will the IPL teams go high on like foreign players? Because generally they have gone previously, but this year I feel like more of the Indian players will
No,
have
will
a
he be
higher.
in the top five foreign players who are
Oh,
sold?
foreign. Okay, I think that would, I think easily, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't, maybe if it's like top five auction buys, that's my point. I'm like, I don't know if he can be in the top five auction buys. Just for the fact of, as Rishi said, like, we don't know if this problem with English players, we never know if they're going to stay back. Like, you go back to Liam Livingstone, Will Jacks, even Sam Curran to the extent of like, if he's
Johnny
one of the top
Bairstow.
all-rounders. The problem is, like, we've seen them previously just leaving, especially during the playoff time. If you're going to pay, these guys are big bucks and they're going to leave in the playoff time, like how it happened last year. I don't think there's any value in it because it was unlucky for both Raj RR and like for RCB in the last playoffs where Will Jacks left for RCB, Butler left for for Rajasthan, and you saw it didn't work out for Rajasthan without having Butler in the playoffs. So I think it's very important to like if you're with a team throughout the journey till the playoffs, and at the playoffs you're not able to commit to a team, like the team's going to think, okay, there is no point of having a player when I know I won't have him in the playoffs. And that might be a reason why teams won't go heavy on English players, at least the fact of Phil Salt and your Will Jacks, your Butler, because of the fact, okay, maybe I have to go play a series for my home country. But apart from that, if they make themselves available and saying, listen, I'm going to play the entire IPL, and then whatever happens, then I think it's easier for us to see them go for a higher value.
Yeah, I'm really going to be intrigued to see what England do, especially with their players this year in the IPL because they've got that big five-match series against India um, in the summer, right? So for them, I think probably the series of the I think you've got the Ashes also later next year. So
But Butler for Salt don't play test, right? So in
yeah,
that sense,
not
I
not
don't
but
think.
yeah, not Butler and Salt, but like I'm just seeing like I'm trying to guess which amongst these players will potentially play for the test side, and for me
Maybe
like a
Mark.
Johnny,
I think
maybe like a Johnny Best or a Mark Wood, yeah, exactly. So yeah, you some of those players they might just consider with the English summer and that big test series coming up. I don't know about Jos Buttler, but before we move on to the younger lot, what do you guys think are the play? Where do you think these guys fit in? The guys who have sort of retired from international cricket, the David Warners, the Trent Bolts, the Moeen Alis, who are I think still very much at the top of their game, right? Like I think, bro, eyes closed. Even today, if you ask me, Trent Bolt is like no brainer. Like I would pick him up. What about like where do you think these guys stand? Like these guys who retired from international cricket but are still playing Faf du Plessis, all these guys.
No, like Faf, I think David Warner is like a little bit more like he's still just recently retired from international cricket. He I feel he has a little bit more in his tank to give than Faf. Like you could see, like Faf, he did okay for RCB, but again, players like David Warner, like Moeen Ali, like I feel a lot of teams can make great use of it. Like David Warner, he's just applied for he had his captaincy ban removed from Big Bash League recently, so he can still. I think he's going to be the captain of his Big Bash side. Like it's been a while for him, so he's going to be fresh up for it. I think he's one of those players who's consistently scored runs in the IPL. He's still not left that he's not one of those players who's completely left the international scene and just sitting at home for like 9 months, 10 months, and then coming out to play IPL. Like I think he's very much still part of active part of cricket, and he's very much, dude. I think David Warner is someone who's like very synonymous to IPL, and he's captained so many sides. He knows it all. So I feel he has a lot to give, and a lot of teams can make use of it. Same goes with Moeen Ali. I feel Moeen Ali is like a very underrated and underused player also. Like, he can bowl 4 overs consistently. He's really handy with the bat, and yeah, I think these two can offer a lot more than someone like a Faf.
I think David Warner. I think his time is done. That's my. I think if David Warner does get picked up and he plays consistently for any IPL team this year, and Faf gets picked up too, I think Faf is going to have a better season than him. Like, it's just my take.
See,
Uh,
that's like, see again. What is there? What are the roles defined? Like for Faf last year for RCB, it was just give them a blistering start, like for
I think
RCB.
that's the
So
same for everyone, Darishi. Like this now
not
with the
really.
impact player rule, every opening bat is going to try to score runs, right? Except if you're playing in some Lucknow or something. Like, you're going to
To an
try and score
extent,
runs.
but usually it's David Warner, and much to David Warner's, like this one, he's had to be the one who's had to anchor innings a lot of times. Like when wickets were collapsing at the other end, he's always more often than not had to like pace his innings down and like dig it out and play the long game. So I
No, but
feel that is a little bit been unfair to
when
him.
was David Warner's last good IPL season?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
yeah, I think
I'm
it's
struggling, bro. Like, I mean, I've dude just looking at like his numbers recently at least. Last year he scored 160 runs in 8 games, average 21. The year before that he averaged 36, but he struck at 130. The year before that he struck well. He scored at 150, but he scored 400 runs. So, like, and the year before that, 2021, which is I think the year that Sunrisers left now, was that the year 2021?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah, 195, 8 games, and yeah, he's averaged 24. So,
Hmm.
bro, what I don't think David Warner is the same David Warner, but I think the others, the Trent Bolts, and I think Moeen Ali, all of these guys have more of a role to play. I think Faf also probably a more limited role, but the other teams, I think for sure they're probably going to be a little more uh, worthy than as compared to somebody like a Warner. But yeah, moving that conversation on, Adi, there's still some fairly big English players, right? Like you spoken about the fact that England players might go early. I don't know what their schedule looks like next year, but there are some huge names in the auction, right? Liam Livingston, can be explosive in this format of the game. You've got Harry Brook. I'm just going to throw in some other names as well, similar categories and just explosive T20 players. You've got Jake Fraser McGurk, who's obviously not English, but he's Australian, but he's there as well. Um, where do these guys fit in? Rachin Ravindra, like where do you see these guys, and how much do you see these guys going for?
That's the thing. Again, I feel like we can like separate certain players from like T20 specialists compared to like good batsmen. Like when we talk about David Warner, Kane Williamson, Rachin Ravindra, I think they come in the later half of like a good batter who can play all three formats, for example. But like in this day and age of the T20 we are playing, it's so explosive, so it's always ticking. Every 2 3 balls you have the pressure to hit a boundary. It's like you can't take your time in this T20 era to like settle in, etc. And in a time where we're very moving into a very if you have 3 4 balls to play, you're almost like, okay, you need to be set and ready to hit force after that. Like you don't have 3 4 balls, you don't have the breadth or space to like take it slow, like almost. In that era, I think the so-called Fazer Muggers, who we've seen in the previous IPL, be very explosive. I think teams might value them more than players like Rachin Ravindra, only for the fact of how the game has changed. And every team viewing that, okay, we don't really need the best batsmen, we just need the best slog hitters, because we saw how the pitches were in IPL last season. Even if you are the best bowler in the world, you don't get much out of the pitch in India. Every stadium apart from Even Chepauk last season was a stadium where you could score a lot of runs. It was not like that was a normal slow track where you would struggle generally to score runs. Even Chepauk, I remember there were a lot of games where it was going 180, 190, 200. So most of the pitches in India look like it's very flat. It's just road pitches where you're gonna be able to favor the batsman. And then when you have pitches like that, as a batsman, you have the pressure to score runs from the beginning. You can't expect a batsman to be like, okay, give me some time. I need to settle in. Like that era of T20 is gone. And that's why I think like players who can do it very quickly, like Fraser McGurk, from what we've seen, even Maxwell to an extent, I think he's a guy who doesn't, even though the way it's worked out for him for the past year, it's not worked out well for him. But Maxwell is another guy who starts going from for ball one. He doesn't need 10 balls to, just settle himself in and start playing. Even sometimes players like Marcus Stoinis, if they have to just come and start playing quickly, they can do that. And I think these kind of players, batters, maybe all-rounders will be valued more. So if for example, we're saying, will a Rachin or a Kane Williamson sneak into an IPL team? Yeah, sure. I think with the quality, I don't think any team will want to lose out on these players. But I don't think these teams will push so hard for these players. It's going to be more like a filler player. Like if we have, like how RCB just, I remember last auction, we just started bidding for every fast bowler because we didn't have any pace attack. We got in Lockie Ferguson, and who is it we get? We got two other pace bowlers, Tom
Ryan
Curran, right?
Joseph. Yeah, all these guys will go. Like,
Yeah, it's
they
going to
will.
be like at the end of the auction, if we have the money, like it's like the filler player, like your Joe Roots, they're just going to come in for the sake of experience. And like if any other foreigner is not going to, playing a good role or like not playing well, I think then these players like Rachin, I mean, to be fair with Rachin, it's a different story. I think he's still young to show. But your David Warners, your Kane Williamson, I don't think they're going to be first picks for any of the top teams at least.
I agree. But there are still a few more uh, experienced players, Rishi. Like guys like Quinton de Kock, guys like Glenn Maxwell. Where do they stand? Or somebody like, I don't know, like a Daryl Mitchell, who's a little older, but he's played a bit. Where do they, Andrik Nokia, all these guys who've Josh Hazel, players who played for a considerable amount of time? Where do they stand?
Again, I it's not easy to like group all these players into one, like pigeonhole all these guys, right? Like I feel like every, like on, you can say on average most teams have the same requirements, but I feel someone like, see, for example, like Rachin Ravindra, I think he's going to do exceptionally well if he goes to a team like Lucknow, or if Chennai do retain him. I felt he was like navigating the Chennai pitches like quite well, and I feel the same like with the way he played in the domestic series against India. I feel he's going to do really well in like turning tracks, like slow tracks of Lucknow. So I feel that is where like more or less all these players will come to clutch. I think Josh Hazelwood also, if he can stay available for the whole IPL, I feel he is one of those players who's going to go to like, he's on average one of the most accurate bowlers. Like he's not going to be the one who's going to be sending in missiles left, right, center, wherever you want. He can hold his line and length really well, and like teams are going to go after such bowlers. And
Okay.
Daryl Mitchell and Glenn Maxwell, again, Glenn Maxwell's played IPL for as long as I can remember. Like, and again, I'm not really a big fan of him. Like for me, of course, you can, if you are willing to gamble on him, you can reap the benefits. But for me personally, I feel he's just someone, he's a bit too volatile. Like he's someone you can't bank on, you can't depend on. Like if you get something from him, great. But otherwise, you're pretty much having no hopes from him. And I don't think that's reliable enough for me. So I feel if you have already a fairly decent batting lineup and you just need a little bit of extra boost in the, say, death overs, I feel he is someone who can come in and really change the game from that perspective. At the same time, he's also, his bowling I feel has gone really under the radar. Like he's one of those bowlers who's going to come bowl flat, not going to toss it up, going to keep the runs short. From that aspect also, he's going to go like, he's very useful in that sense as well.
Yeah, it's a good player too. Yeah, just moving on. I think we've said Jos Buttler is probably going to be one of the five most expensive overseas picks. Let's do the other four. Adi, if you had to name one more player apart from Jos Buttler to be in that top five most expensive overseas picks, who would it be?
It would be Maxwell, bro. Easily, it's gonna be Maxwell. Like I don't think.
No chance.
Bro, did you see? Did you see what he did yesterday for Australia? He single-handedly won them a
Bro,
T20
you
game.
go watch
Adi,
all
Adi,
the
once again,
go
once again.
watch all the
I saw this on
highlights before
Twitter.
that. Go watch
Once
all
again, yeah.
the highlights before that.
Single-handedly,
I
This
saw this on Twitter.
master.
People, the minute Glenn Maxwell started switch hitting Naseem Shah, people
man.
started talking. First of all, a
First
7 over
ball,
game, and then the
first ball, bro. First
before
ball.
that, games before that, I saw Harris Ruff. Not even Harris Ruff had a great series, mind you, but he just came and bowled just good length outside off stump. This guy couldn't even defend. Like,
Which
how
was
do you?
that? That was an ODI game, right?
Yeah, the point is he cannot
That's
defend.
the difference. This, bro, you see, like when under pressure, when Australia needed him to perform, he came and performed again, bro. Like,
They
dude,
got smashed in
first
that
ball he
ODI series.
faced.
They needed him to perform. He didn't.
Where?
They got smashed in the ODIs. In
Bro,
the second and third
he's
ODIs.
taken. Bro, the thing is with Maxwell, I think he deserved that break after the heroic performances for him in the World Cup last year. So I think that
Heroic
1 year has
performance.
been a.
One.
What do you mean one? That was the only reason why Australia played the World Cup hero and the same World Cup where you know what happened. So that one performance is enough for like what happened in the entire tournament. Bro,
See, exactly, Adi. You're just proving my point. I just said that like if you get something from him, great. So you're just saying
but when
okay,
you're getting something from him, it's literally a World Cup, Rishi. Like it's a
not really.
different
He
thing.
hasn't performed ever since that one game. So
What? You didn't you
yeah,
watch yesterday's game?
he have a great World Cup other than that one game.
Maxwell. He
Yeah, Glenn
performed pretty
Maxwell,
well
like
in
at
the
least at the
World Cup, in India World Cup. Anyways, but that's my point. I think even previously to the World Cup, he was RCB's best player last year when in the 2023 IPL with Faf, in my opinion, when we played. And again, apart from that, I think he's had a bad year, but I don't think you can ignore Maxwell in T20, bro. Like that's the thing, bro. T20 and Maxwell, he can. You need a player who can play like explosive cricket against spinners, and he's that guy who can all like any spinner comes against him, you know you're gonna get runs. And if he's coming in the middle order, you know it's like a sure option where he can score runs. Like I do get it, he struggles with pace, but he's a player who already comes in the middle order. Maybe it's either number three, number four, and I would rather have Maxwell. Even if it's down to RCB, I would still want to get Maxwell back just for the fact that he's still a very special player in certain situations. And if I'm playing, if me as a team know that most of these pitches are going to be flat track, like I would rather back Maxwell in a T20 game than anyone else, right? At least now as a middle order batsman. And I don't think, looking at all these players, like bro, everyone is a so-called free hit. Like I don't think any foreign player you can sit here apart from Butler, you can sit here and say, yeah, this guy's going to do well.
Bro,
Like
I
you look
think
at it,
one guy
I
who's
feel no. I feel like a
more
lot of
are
dynamic.
you
batsmen you can say with some level of certainty that they're
I
gonna
think Phil
do
Salt is
decently
better
well.
right now
Phil
than
Salt? I
Maxwell.
agree, but apart from Phil Salt,
Miller, Jos Buttler.
bro, even with Miller, Rishi, you go see the way he's
I
been
don't
performing for
think
South Africa.
Miller,
It's not that
bro.
great.
Don't know, but like, bro,
Like I
For
feel
me, I
he's
don't think there is a huge difference between Miller. I mean, Miller, Maxwell, I think they're pretty good because Maxwell can still give you 2, 3 overs in the ball, which also adds value. And again, when I talk about the top foreign players, like there aren't much top foreign players who they're like in a T20 format where you're going to sit and say they're sure players. I can't see much. Like you can say Josh Butler, sure. If you take out Josh Butler, Phil Salt, it's the only guy who can be pushing on him. But again, you realize Phil Salt had a good season last year. Before that year, he was terrible. So the point is, every player is
also been good for England. He scored 100 like this few
Rahul. But my
games
point
ago.
is like Maxwell had been good for Australia for the past 12 years. It's not like it's
Yeah, but the
this is the
last
first.
year and a half, Maxwell has been
That's my point. He's been
borderline
bad,
terrible.
but my point is, you know, if the whole point of class is permanent, I think
Is he
every
going to
player
be a
goes through a bad patch
signing?
of form.
Is he
Okay.
going to be a huge big money signing, Maxwell?
He's always been that. Every IPL team you go
That's
see,
true.
even with
Exactly.
RCB, it
That's
was that.
true.
And he's always a top signing.
Okay.
So, like, where can you take out Maxwell? Like, tell me another
Okay.
player where
Fine.
you're like,
Fine. Fine. But fair
I'm
enough.
sure, like, I'm going to put money on this guy.
Let's give Maxwell, like, just keep him there. Rishi, over to you. Give me another name. I'm just going to throw in Phil Salt there because I think all of us agree that Phil Salt is going to go for big money, a potential captain option as well, captaining England right now. And
But you guys realize only one team needs a captain.
no, but hey, bro, as a specialist batter, also I'll blindly take Salt. I don't need him to captain a team.
Yeah, fair enough. But I think I just realized, like, I think apart from Punjab, I think all the teams have their captain,
Yeah.
like, for sure. Maybe RCB, maybe that is a stretch, but apart from these two teams, most of them have their captain, if I'm not wrong.
So we've got Butler and Salt, and we've got Maxwell on standby.
It's nothing funny. Are you saying Salt over Maxwell,
I'm
bro? Just
not
stop
saying
it.
Yeah,
Just
Maxwell.
I'm
I'm
stop
saying
saying
Salt
like,
it.
bro,
over
okay,
Maxwell
listen,
for
listen.
sure.
Oh my
I'll give you
God, bro. That
honestly,
is
my
so.
honest opinion is that Maxwell will go for big money. I don't know if he's going to be top five. That's all. Like I think he will be expensive, but people will buy Maxwell, regardless of how stupid he looks sometimes. Dude, there
Most
is
of
an
the time.
element in
Not
Maxwell.
some. It's like every
Like
batsman looks stupid sometimes, bro. What can I
yeah, that's
even
what
say
I'm
to this?
saying. So I agree. I agree. Maxwell will go for money. I don't think, but all I'm saying is there are also other big names. Like we're almost neglecting the bowlers, and there are big bowlers. Yeah, Mitchell Starc
I,
against
I,
Rabada.
I, for a fact, I know none of the ballers will be in the top five. Most maybe
Okay.
Rabada is a stretch, but the top five in the auction itself, I'm sure they won't be there.
Okay. What about guys like Harry Brook, and like Aiden
So
Markram?
you
Somebody.
guys are okay with saying Harry Brooks as a top five auction,
Not
but
remotely.
I'm
I
just
not
feel
saying.
Trent
I'm
Bolt.
Maxwell.
I
asking
feel
the
Trent Bolt is
question.
going to go for like big bucks.
I think
Like
Trent
Bro,
Bolt is going for big money too. I
bro,
think so.
he's going. You guys realize he's going to retire soon? Like he can't go for big bucks. I would rather
Why
have
did he retire?
Jimmy
He's not
Anderson
that
for
old. He's
like
like
base
35.
price over
No,
Trent
what do you
Bolt
guys
for
think will
like.
happen to Jimmy Anderson, bro? I
Bro, he's
just
coming to
out of
RCB.
context,
Watch it. Just
out of
watch it.
context, what is happening to Jimmy Anderson?
He's
You think
going to
he's gonna
come to
get picked?
RCB.
No, but actually,
And
seriously, do you think he's gonna get picked by
yeah,
any
I
team?
do think. Yeah,
I mean,
he's
maybe
bro. He's
Okay,
gonna come for base
fine.
price.
Then it is
You
right.
remember
wait,
how
base
Gale? You remember
is
how
also
Gale got
close.
into Kings 11 Punjab?
Yeah, what?
You remember how Gale got into Punjab when in the end
It was in the end, yeah. Yeah.
it's gonna be the same thing. I think one team is just gonna raise their bat for the sake of okay, I have 2 crores. What can I do with it? Let me just raise my bat, and that's gonna happen. But I'm sure he'll be picked by some team. There's
Dude,
no
the
way he's
thing,
gonna put
the
his
thing
name
was in,
without.
but if Jimmy Anderson plays a game, it'll be one of those insane moments. IPL, it's like how Shane Warne played the IPL, like the first IPL. I feel like it's
Hmm.
that equivalent. Like, oh, to see Jimmy Anderson play in the IPL will be mad, especially with the new ball. Oof.
Then nothing's gonna happen in the new ball. It'll be some 4 6s, 3 4s in that new
No,
ball.
no,
But
no. No, you just never know, bro. I mean, it's nice. It's good to have the story, but like again, on a serious note, I think Trent Bolt goes for big money, bro. I think out of
Trent
all the
Bolt,
no,
fast bowlers,
Mitch
no
Starc.
chance, bro. Are you saying he's gonna go for big money over players like Siraj,
no, I'm
Shami,
talking about top
Natarajan?
five overseas players.
But my
Maybe like
point is, bro, Rahul, but you realize like the teams will spend a lot of money on batsmen, and then you're not going to sit and spend a lot of money on bowlers. That's the
no,
whole
but
point
Dude,
of it.
I
do you
think
realize there are a handful of like not many. There are quite a small number of bowlers who can hit the top of the mark. Like I don't think there's any bowler
I,
who's as
I,
good as Trent Bolt in the opening spell.
yeah,
Rishi, but the whole point is of what value it is. For example, you look at football, like at the end of the day, your attackers have spent hundreds of millions, not your left back or a centre back.
no, that's
Giving the
true,
same analogy.
but
My
it's
point is
not the
still,
same because Bolt will
I
give
don't
you
think they'll
two
be top
wickets.
five, right? Like they
He
can't
will
come
give,
top five.
Adi, but he's
If
going to give you
yeah,
1 or 2 wickets at the top for sure.
Yeah,
exactly.
but
If
see, for me, for any team, I think with bowling options, they have a lot of Indian options. You first exhaust that, And then you look at the foreign options again. When you look at the foreign bowlers, there are a lot of bowlers who can do the same job. I think you have players like Stark. You have players like, if you're
I
saying
don't think
Bolt
Stark
is
is the
the,
same as Bolt.
Like,
are you kidding me,
No chance. No
bro?
chance.
Did you see him play in the playoffs last season?
Adi, that is one game. The game
Not
before the
one.
game.
It was two
Bro, my
games.
point with
It
Bolt
was
is
two games.
Bolt will do that every game for you.
Bolt had a terrible average last season, and he was not that great the entire season.
Bro,
Bolt.
he will
he
picked up
was
wickets
fantastic in the opening spell of
every game.
almost,
Every game.
yeah.
See, my
Like, I
point
think he
is,
broke a record for having the most, like, for taking the most wickets in the power play or something in a
So
season or overall, like whatever. But still, like, he was at least in the power play with the new ball. Like he was as good as anyone.
bro, for me, I wouldn't spend more than like 4 or 5 crores on Bolt if
16
it comes
wickets,
down
bro,
to
for
that.
Bolt last year. Not bad at all. So
Sorry,
16 wickets for Bolt last year. That's
I know, but talk about his average, talk about his overall numbers. It was
it's
not that
not
great, and
that
my
bad. He bowls 3 overs in the power play. His economy is 8. It's not bad at all for a guy who bowls 3 overs in the power play. Like,
I mean,
what are we? What is he going to give you more than that? Like, and he bowls one
bro,
at
for
the death,
me,
which is
I've
not even
never
his job.
seen. I mean, I get it, but that's my point. I feel like, see, the thing is, I feel like batsmen. Are
Okay,
you
fine.
saying like players like Maxwell,
Okay, let's say
players
Maxwell
like?
does go for more than him, but who else apart from
No,
this?
that's the thing. For me, that's what I'm trying to say. Like when you look at us as a team perspective, as an IPL franchise, if you're going into an auction, which is a mega auction, you're not only building it on 1 or 2 players. You have to build a squad of 18 to 23 players right now. And
Hmm.
most of the teams only have 3, 4 players max. Some teams have 6. So you can't go big on players like Bolt anyways for the fact that I have to build a entire 10, 15
No,
roster
but
still.
I think Bolt is one of those premium players that you will. That's my
That's my
personal
point.
opinion. Anyway,
I
fair enough.
think as a team they would value you see every team right now they value young T20 players. And again, I would say they would value a player like Fraser McGurk over Bolt. In my humble opinion, I can bet you that Fraser McGurk would go for a higher price than Trent Bolt, for example. And I think the general trend will be a batsman going for a higher price. The only bowler I think can go for a lot of money mostly will be Hasaranga, just for the fact that he is he's always been a spinner. That is, if any team can't get a top spinner in India, he's the best go to
I
option
would
outside
go
India.
Adam Zampa over Hassananga any day.
Are you, bro?
Yeah,
Please,
hundred
please,
percent.
please, please. Are you? No ways,
Easy, easy.
bro. There is no way
Bro,
Zampa over.
I would even go Tikshana over Hasaranga. Like, if you want, not a leg spinner, but
Guys,
like, say,
my unpopular opinion, I feel Noor Ahmed is gonna go for more than
Noor
Hasran.
Ahmad also. I think Noor Ahmad is not
Over
bad.
Hasaranga. You guys want to literally take a bet on this? It's
I
on
actually
live
wouldn't
air.
mind. I actually would. I
Huh?
think
Yeah,
Noor
like,
Ahmad will go for more
Fine,
than Hasaranga too.
fine. So your point is Hasaranga will go for lesser than either Noor Ahmed or Zampa.
no, I'm saying
I,
Hasranga
I
will
think
go less than Noor Ahmed.
I think out of all
Fine.
these guys, Tikshana goes for the most for me.
It's
But
going to be Hasaranga easily, bro.
regardless, okay, let's anyways move on
No,
to
why,
the
why, why?
no.
I feel like he's a bowler who, bro. My point is like, if you're looking at an IPL franchise, you wouldn't want to spend a lot of money on a guy who's going to retire in a year or two max. And again, with Trent Bolt, he stopped playing international cricket. He's only going to play T20 cricket, and you can't really sit and
I
say,
mean,
I'm going to
see,
spend a chunk of my money on him.
He's 36. He's going to play
See,
for a long
as
time.
long as someone is playing international T20 cricket, or not international, I mean T20 cricket, he is very much involved in T20 circuit around the world.
He's
What's the
fine.
problem?
He's 35. He'll play 3 years. Aram se he'll play 3 years.
Like, how does it, like, for me,
Three,
like, does it really matter that if, like, the players have retired from international cricket, as long as they're still playing top quality, like, T20 cricket, that's fine. Like, if he's going to play Big Bash, if he's going to play Caribbean Premier League, he's going to play Major League
Yeah,
Cricket,
he's
he's
going to play
playing
all the
South
time.
Africa T20. If he plays all these leagues, then it's fine. It's like he's pretty much playing every top T20 franchise cricket in the world. No, like, other than international cricket, this is as high quality cricket as it can
so,
be.
so you're saying a bowler who's retired and is going to play decent level of T20 cricket. Me as an IPL franchise, are you going to sit and say I rather bank on him over an Indian bowler or over another bowler who's literally playing T20 cricket right now. Again, my whole perspective is, bro, I feel like,
RCB did that with Faf. It's happened
bro,
already.
but he was not a top foreign buy. That's my whole point. And my point is, he can't be a top foreign. He won't be a top five foreign buy for any IPL franchise. My point is there are many more. Bro, that's the thing. As an IPL franchise, they would value a player like, again, as an if I'm an IPL team, I would rather value Fraser Mugger. I would rather value to an extent maybe Finn Allen, but I don't think he'll go for that much money just for the fact that he hasn't played a lot of international cricket. But they would again maybe Will Jacks is another guy I would rather push over. If I had to go into an auction, I would target a player like David Miller over like 10 ball. And it's only for the fact that these players are just more needed for an IPL team, for a T20 team.
Okay.
Even how to say, for example, the more better all rounders I would rather back. I would maybe Marco Janssen is one of those guys who might go for a big buy in the auction. There are other players like Stoinis. I would rather back someone going big on a player like Stoinis just for the fact that these guys are very much more suited and needed for an IPL team to function at a high level rather than a Bolt. Like I just don't think the only bowler I would push even in pace department would be Rabada. Apart from Rabada, I don't think they would go big on a pacer. I've never seen any a team that's spent or broken bank on like
Last
pacers.
year, Stark.
That is, you know what was the context? It was that
I
context was
understand that, but still, I still think
like,
like these guys,
are you saying, for
the
example,
Starks and the
are you
Starks
saying
and
this
like the
will
Bolts will go.
will Stark go for the same money as last time?
Of course, not the same money, but he will still go for
Exactly.
big money.
Bro, the thing is, the only point was Stark was in the context of, okay, we have money and this is the only player we need. We can put 25 crores on him. That's the
Fair enough.
reason they went for that much money.
Okay. What do you guys think? Do you think Miller makes the top five?
Dude, I feel like players like Faisal Magak would go more. I just
I
think
think
so.
Fraser
Like,
Mugger goes quite
for
high.
me, like quality wise, I would back Miller, but I just think that my point is the way teams are thinking, they would rather back young players who are coming up. Like, even for example, bro, if tomorrow if Abhishek Sharma versus like maybe Sanju Samson was in the auctions, I think Abhishek Sharma would go for a higher price just for the fact that these guys play T20 in a different way. And any team would rather have that player than, go into a traditional bowler, traditional batsman. I think that's how the teams are valuing these players. They, as I said, I don't think they really care about are you a good batter or are you a good bowler. The point is, can you score runs as soon as possible? Can you like set up your team for the next person to come and again set up the next batsman? That's the whole style of batting right now. It's like come sit and bat. And I think players like that will just go for a higher price.
So Fraser McGurk, you think guys makes the top three, top five? I think
I
he's going
could
to
see,
be.
I could see it. I could see a team pushing for him more, like
Yeah.
more over a player like Miller.
I see him going for big money. I think Rabada and Bolt are the two bowlers I think who will go for big money, but we'll see if they make the.
Bro, I'm telling you, Stark can go for a higher price than Bolt. Like, I'm sure for a fact that you've
No,
seen Bolt, bro. Have you not?
I
By the
know
way,
it's possible. I'm
by
not
the way,
saying
what
that.
happened to Bolt in the previous mega auction? It was not like people went crazy for him,
No, but that's the thing. That's like
and that time he was in his prime. Like, there is
no.
no difference.
I
He had
think
come off winning an IPL, etc. Like,
I
the
think
point
that's
is,
just been Bolt's story. Like he's been very undervalued. Like I think now people
exactly.
realize
So
how good he is. That's it.
it's bro, but the point is like again, it's a T20 format, right? Like the whole factor is we need batsmen, we need the best batsmen, players who can score runs. That's how the format works itself. Like you wouldn't put most of your if you're a team, you wouldn't put most of your budget on a bowler. Like that just never happens in IPL generally. And if you're targeting a top bowler, weirdly just goes to spinners. Like generally, like you spend a lot of money on a spinner, maybe. Like for example, if Rashid Khan was there, I would tell you for a fact, yeah, he would go for like top three foreign players for sure. We just know because he's a special T20 bowler. I don't think you find special T20 bowlers like that.
Okay. Any other underrated or out of the box takes from you guys as far
I
as
feel I feel Ramanullah Gurbaz and Noor Ahmed are a
I
couple
think
of players who
I
are going to
agree.
go.
I think what the Afghanistan boys are going to go for big money. Like it's nobody speaks about them, especially Noor Ahmed. I think the option of a Chinaman in today's
Exactly.
in today's world is He's going to be like big, except for Kuldeep Yadav. Any other Chinaman? Nobody. I don't think there's one other. I think Noor Ahmed, from that, just like a appeal perspective, also is uh, got that going for him. So hopefully he does go for a big one. I think Rahmanul Gurbaz is established himself as one of these solid opening batters as well. So and gives you a keeping option. So are there any hot takes, bro? Like from those left?
Do the thing with Noor Ahmed, I just feel like again, I don't think teams will just go huge on these kind of players. Like it would just be a factor of like, do these guys like as a team? If I have the money, do I value this guy more than the next player out there in the auction? I think we have to remember how auctions work. Where like at the end of the day, it depends on how active they are, like how active a team is in the market and how much money they have left. Like even if you value a player more, you can't put in all your money just for the fact that I have to build a team of 15, right? And that's the thing. I feel like players like Noor, the thing with foreign players, I think there are a lot of options in the market where it's like a team won't push so hard because they know they have another option, for example, right? And that's why I think more Indian players will just go for a higher value overall because of the fact that there are very limited Indian players compared to foreigners. For example, your spinners, if I don't get Hasaranga, I have Tishan. If I don't get Tishan, I have Noor Ahmed. If I don't get Noor Ahmed, I have a ball like Zampa, whatever it is. Like you still have a lot of options if it's foreign players. But that
But
doesn't
how
happen
many
with the
spinners are there on top of their game, like in this IPL? Like, I can't
I
think
think
of a
not.
lot. Like,
I don't
and
think there are a lot of wrist
but,
spinners. That's true.
yeah,
But
and I think
but
wrist spinners are like something that's really needed for. I think every team will go after one wrist
yeah, you
spinner,
need at least one wrist spinner. I think every team needs at least one wrist spinner.
and like
So
I can't think of many teams who have it.
yeah,
Like the ones who retained, fine, fair enough, lucky for them. But I feel the other teams will go all out for at least one wrist spinner.
see
mm,
that's the thing. I feel like my take is again like you don't have pitches that are curated for spinners anyways. You look at imagine bro, you're a bowler like Markandeya Washington Sundar playing for a team like Hyderabad. We saw how that track was last year. There was nothing for the spinners. Like if you're a spinner there, you're just a it was like a net bowler. You're just going to sit and ball there and you're going to get smacked for a six. That's how it was. I remember like certain players in certain even for example RCB Karan Sharma. There was I don't feel like there was any use for a spinner in this in the format just for the fact that like the pitches are not suited for like spinners to perform well. For example, if you're playing in West Indies and some slow track in US, I think that helped the spinners more. But we're not playing the same situations like how we're playing the same conditions like how like for example you look at the World Cup T20 World Cup this year versus the IPL this year. There was a contrast in the way like it went.
but yeah, but like, that's the funny thing about cricket. Okay, like I think every year before you go in to any cricket tournament, it's almost impossible to predict like what the pitches will be like, right? Like for example, I just taking Bangalore as an example. Traditionally, has been very flat wickets in Bangalore, but the previous IPL they didn't do that. Like they produced different kinds of wickets.
Rahul, we had the
It was not
we,
flat. RCB may have
tell
scored
me
runs.
Tell me how much SRS scored in RC in Chinnaswamy
No,
Stadium
that
last
is
year.
one game. That's one game. But I'm saying like
No, that
we
was a
can provide
multiple games. KKR came, scored runs for fun.
we
The
provide
entire tournament, RCB was getting smacked for runs last
no
year. I
no no. I
remember.
I agree. I'm not saying they weren't good wickets. I'm saying we had different kinds of wickets. There were some of those wickets which did have the ball gripping in the surface, which did have like 160s. We had the 170s. We had the 180s also. It was not like every
One
game was 200 plus in Bangalore. So
with in Bangalore, I feel like most of the games were at that point, and the reason some games weren't 180, 190 was only the fact that we batted first and we fumbled a lot of wickets and we
at least based on what
scored a
I
lot of
saw,
targets.
it didn't look like
Bro, I'll
the
tell you
traditional
one thing.
Bangalore
Every
wickets.
time I
It was
saw
not easy to
DK
bat.
batting, he was having fun. I don't Bangalore pitch last year was one of the flattest pitches I've ever seen in a while.
No, I don't
And
think I
again,
don't think it was flat at all.
Rahul, bro, don't you
Ever
remember
since
the
the ground
SRH
got
game?
redone, Bangalore has not produced like the same flat wickets. Bro, see, like for example, yeah, just the Delhi game, 180. You had
Not a low score, right? Like,
Yeah, I'm not saying low as in it's
bro, the
not going
first
to
game we
be like,
played against Mumbai, it was a good amount of runs we scored. The game against SRH,
no,
a
no,
lot
we
of
didn't.
runs.
Yeah, yeah. The SRH game was,
KKR game, it was a 200 plus for both teams. Narayan just played for fun from ball one. Like, I don't think there was any game where like an RCB game where it was like low scoring runs. I think it was the opposite. Even the CSK game, 200 plus runs. Like this half the home games we played was more than 200 runs. And last year was one of those pitches where like the way the that's what I'm saying. The way IPL has evolved, it's very much like we just go out there and score runs. And bro, Chinnaswamy Stadium is the smallest stadium out there to hit sixes. SRH game, we had a world
yeah,
record
it is the
breaking number of
smallest ground
sixes.
for sure, but
I,
I do not. At least
I
like
feel
it didn't
I feel like
seem
a spinner
like
in CSK has no advantage. Like, for me, it's like, why would I spend 10 crores on a spinner? I would rather spend 10 crores on two great batsmen who I know can get me 30,
fair enough,
40 runs
fair
of
enough.
10, 20, 40, 20, 10, 20 balls. Like, that's the whole point, is
Yeah,
what I'm
fair
trying to
enough.
push. Like,
But
I
I feel
think,
traditionally, like teams have more or less often than like more often than less have had like at least one spinner who can like like at least a wrist spinner who can stop the
Yeah,
run flow. Like most teams, like traditionally for CSK, it's been like it's been Tikshna. Before that, Jadeja. Like they've had enough spinners. I feel RCB also was Chell for a long time. For Mumbai, we've had Rahul Chahar for the longest time. I think when
bro, Sahel was not a guy who could stop runs. Like, I'm sorry
no,
to
not
say.
stop and as in
Sahel
pick
is,
wickets, like get that sharp turn, like have the players like
but
going down the crease and get them. Yeah,
But don't you think cricket is? That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of discussions happening here where like T20 cricket right now, I'd rather have a bowler who gets zero for 20 runs in 4 overs than 3 wickets, 4 wickets for like 60 runs, for example.
no,
Like, you
but
would rather have
I'm
dot
talking
balls
about
I
over wickets.
completely. I think
I'm talking about like
it's a
say
balance of
four or
both.
five bowlers who are not all going to get hit 60 runs. Like even if they can get hit for like say anywhere between 30 to 40 runs, if they can get 3 wickets, three like top three batsmen of the other, like top 3 or 4 batsmen of the other team, I think that's still a great gamble. Like I feel in Ahmedabad, players like Noor Ahmed, Rashid Khan, even Sai Kishore, like Sai Kishore has done decently. Like I feel KKR have had Narain and Varun Chakravarti, and occasionally even Venkatesh Iyer. I feel almost any teams like other than the ones who have these roads, like say Sunrisers or Delhi. I feel even Delhi, to be fair, Kuldeep Yadav was doing a decent job given
Bro, all
how
team has roads. Like, I
bad
can
the
write. Chinnaswamy is literally a flat track. Wankade always a flat track. Delhi, we saw how it is. It's a pretty flat
exactly.
track.
So for
No, but
Like in Wankhede, I feel Rahul Chahar did decently well. Like
and I think Piyush Chawla also did pretty
Chair
well.
did well because we were playing in UAE, Rishi. That time the IPL was
No, no.
happening in Dubai.
Piyush
no,
Chawla, for
he's
example,
played in like after that he's played enough in DY Patil
After
and he
that,
played in
after that, there was no
Wankhede.
under Mumbai Indians. The next time we played was this IPL where we had like what 3 weeks in Chepauk, 3 weeks in Ahmedabad, 3 weeks in Wankhede. There was never a time where you had home game, away game, home game, away game. And the time Chair did well was that period where you guys were playing in UAE. Again, like these players played well during those times. Sure, you see how Chair has played for Punjab since then. He's been horrible. Like, just go back to how he's played for Punjab. Like, that's the whole point. Like, these guys have. My point is like spinners were very valued at a point of time because of how the tracks were that time. It did suit the spinners a lot previously, but right now I don't. Even for example, Rashid Khan, he was the guy who was getting smacked last IPL. Like, batsmen used to fear Rashid Khan. Like, and I saw there was a change last year. I think they were able to play against spinners like Rashid Khan more freely. It was not like, okay, we have to. Before, like with Rashid Khan, batsmen would come and say, okay, let us just survive this. That was a mentality. But last year there were a lot of games where he got smacked out of the park.
let's just wrap it up with this. My not hot take, but um, just in terms of interesting takes, if you are looking for a slow left arm spinner, who is going to be sort of that guy to bowl in the power play, and if you're looking for a left arm spinner to bowl in the power play, I think Akil Hussain is going to do a job. He's been brilliant for the West Indies. He should, I think, by now had have had a good IPL season, but he hasn't. So now my hot take is LSG get Akil Hussain has a great IPL 2025. And we'll wrap it up with that. But yeah, we've mentioned some interesting players during the course of the session. Done some. Uh, yeah, we know Jos Buttler, Phil Sawler, these guys are going to go for big money. We've given our shouts as well, respectively, as to who we think will go for money. Next to Trent Bolt, Ali's mentioned Fraser McGurk. Yeah, potentially a couple of um, other batters, but yeah, we'll see. David Miller, you never know. But yeah, we're just going to wrap it up with that. Thanks everyone for watching. Like and share the videos from Sports Kabri. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we will see you soon. Goodbye.